Okay, 1 month left in the season here in Chicago, the Cubs and the Sox. Let's review what's happened in 2012 for both teams. First, let's start with the Cubs. First thing that we knew is what has happened. The Cubs are just rebuilding, starting to get rid of everything they can and starting to rebuild with a young ball club. Only one thing that I can see that's happened so far this year is the Cubs might not have made the right choice in letting go of Quaddy and hiring Dale Swain. Dale Swain started his managerial career as an interim manager and ended up taking Milwaukee into the playoffs, which tells me that he has already stepped beyond rebuilding with a young ball club and is ready to manage a more competitive team and a team that's ready to compete in the playoffs. Not a good choice for the Cubs to actually hire Swain at this point in time. They should have stepped with Quaddy, who is a long-time minor league manager, to give these minor league kids more of a unstressful and a better type of atmosphere in Wrigleyville, rather than try to throw them out there with a manager who really wants to compete. Dale Swain should have thought about the decision he made in taking that job. Could have well just diminished a little bit of his credentials in the future, unless they can do something and he sticks around, which I highly doubt. To me, it was just a waste for both parties to keep Dale Swain with the Cubs right now. Now let's move over to the White Sox. White Sox um, might be a surprise to everybody. Not a surprise to me. I knew that their players would be better. I knew Dunn would be better. I knew Rios would be better. Peavy, of course, is a little bit less uh, of a person that you could say is better, because Peavy actually has injury problems, unlike Dunn and Rios, who were psychological problems and the problems they endured when they came to Chicago with Kenny Williams in the front office and Ozzie Guillen on the field. With Kenny and Ozzie completely at each other's throats all those last two seasons they were with each other, completely ruined the chemistry on that team, and that is why uh, Dunn and Rios and some of the veteran players didn't play as well as they should have played. This year they're more laid back. Ventura has really showed that he lets his ball players play, he encourages them, and they're playing pretty good ball. Do I believe that they should be winning in the Central? Of course not. Of course not. They shouldn't be winning in the Central. They should be a second place team. Of course, Detroit, who spent all that money on Fielder and all these other acquisitions, haven't done potentially what they're supposed to do. But they're still there, and they're neck and neck now. 1.5 games behind the White Sox. The White Sox, they're not a surprise team this year, and they're not a team that you can really say is supposed to win. They're in between. They're just a good ball club, good managed ball club, a ball club that can easily get into the playoffs, can easily win a World Series. I mean, they've shown they've beaten the Yankees, they've beaten all these great teams, even with the game that they lost yesterday, which was a horrific game against the Minnesota Twins. They bounced back and won today, so uh, no surprises for anybody that really knows baseball with the White Sox. They're just playing better. All of their problems within the front office and the field manager has been diminished. I think they're really laid back. I think they really are a smooth sailing team. They are not worried about too many things, and I think they're going to be very dangerous if they get into the playoffs. Should they win the World Series? Of course not. They shouldn't win the World Series, even though they have a good team and a great team to actually win in the World Series. The White Sox right now, if they would have kept Mark Buehrle, should have had at least uh, 11, 12 more wins uh, on their record. They should have had 11 10 or 11 12 more losses. I think that with Mark Buehrle, the White Sox would have really been an actual great threat because of his stability and his willingness and ableness to win 10 or more games for the White Sox on a year and every year basis. Johnny Danks was forced into you're the new Mark Buehrle here. You're the man. We gave you the money that we gave you. We renewed your contract, and he quite frankly wasn't ready for that. He wasn't ready for that position. He wasn't ready for that um, role as the new pitcher. Something that Mark Buehrle was quite accustomed to. Mark Buehrle was very laid back, but he was a very good leader on his team. I don't think that Danks was or is right now that type of pitcher. I think Danks might have, because of this not signing Buehrle, might have overdone, might have tried too much, and might have hurt himself, which was a big loss. I think that letting go Buehrle is a big key from here in the future to see whether the White Sox can actually win a World Series. I think that with Buehrle and a healthy Danks, which I believe if Buehrle would have been around, Danks wouldn't have actually even got injured. I think Danks would have been more relaxed, played better ball. And PV actually playing good baseball. He is not the dominating pitcher he was when he was with San Diego, where he can just come in day out and completely shut anybody down. But he is probably one of the toughest and hardest pitchers to try to convince that he's not going to be able to win, because this guy has a heart of a lion. He goes out there and he tries to win every single game, and it's a good pitcher to have when you have pitchers like that. Floyd, Floyd has been Floyd of old. Very good one day, practically unhittable. Other days he seems like his mind is not in the game, or everything he's throwing is just being hit all over the place. So there's a lot of iffy spots in the White Sox. Sale, of course, has had probably the most interesting of all pitchers on the White Sox staff. Totally dominating. Something that only Sox insiders might have even known or guessed about. Um, with Chris Sales, he's got great stuff. He's competitive. If he keeps focused in the game, they're doing very well with Sale. Now into this playoff, you have again a pitching staff of Sale, an iffy but competitive PV. You don't have Danks, another iffy, and somewhat and not somewhat somewhat and not somewhat reliable Floyd. Quintana, young new pitchers that, if you're looking at the White Sox rotation going into the playoffs, you cannot possibly match them up against any other rotation and say the White Sox have the upper hand on any team that's going into the playoffs, because their pitchers just quite simply, if they don't surprise anybody, if they don't go in there and just shock the other team, they're not going to compete as far as starting pitching against a team that's already in the playoffs. It's just not going to happen. They, of course, believe they could win, and that's one of the most important keys of winning, is believing in yourself. If they can catch some breaks and if they can get on a hot streak, they can win. Uh, that's all we're going to say for today. Let's keep watching it and see in the future what actually turns up with the White Sox. Signing off here. See you later.